I don't have much time before it finds me. I can feel it watching from the dark corners of my apartment, the same way it watched Liam through his phone right before he vanished. That's why I'm recording this. If I disappear too, someone needs to understand what happened. Someone needs to know the truth about the app he downloaded. And for the love of everything holy, don't try to look for it. Don't search it. Don't Google it. Don't even whisper its name. Liam thought it was harmless. A safe, dark web app, whatever that even means. He joked that it sounded like a scam, like one of those creepy ARGs we used to mess with in high school. But he downloaded it anyway. And something attached to him. Something that isn't supposed to exist outside whatever digital nightmare it crawled out of. The worst part is the symptoms don't start right away. It's subtle at first. A shadow in the corner of a selfie. A voice glitching in the background of a video call. Reflections that don't line up with reality. If anyone listening recognizes any of that, if you've seen anything like it, comment below. Seriously, I need to know how far this thing has spread. I keep replaying the last message Liam sent me. Bro, it's learning me. That's exactly what he wrote. And then nothing. No typing bubbles. No delivered notifications. Just silence. And the next morning, his apartment looked like he walked out in the middle of a sentence and never came back. Now the same weird static that followed him is leaking into my phone. My screen flickers at night. My microphones turn on by themselves. I hear breathing in the recordings I never made. Back then, we thought it was all a joke, just another online thrill. We didn't realize the danger was watching us, and it was choosing which one of us to take first. I guess the only way this makes sense is if I start at the beginning, before the app, before Liam started acting strange. Liam always had this talent for making the dumbest ideas sound like once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. It's one of the reasons we stayed friends so long. He brought chaos, I brought caution. Balance. Or at least, that's what I told myself. Back then, everything still felt normal. Our biggest problems were overdue rent, lukewarm takeout, and the fact that our apartment looked like 2 raccoons lived there instead of 2 college dropouts. It was a boring Wednesday night. I was half asleep on the couch, scrolling through the same recycled memes I'd seen 100 times, when Liam barged into the room holding his phone like he'd just discovered buried treasure. "Dude, you are not gonna believe this," he said, dropping onto the other side of the couch hard enough to make the springs cry. "If it's another cursed image, I swear." No, better. Way better. His grin was too big for something that wouldn't end in a bad decision. I dragged my eyes up from my screen. "All right, what is it?" He flipped his phone around to show me an icon on his home screen. A simple black square with a white eye in the center. No text. No branding. Just the eye. What is that supposed to be? I asked. Liam puffed up like he was about to accept an award. "The safe dark web browser." I blinked. "The what?" "It's a sanitized portal," he said, wiggling his eyebrows. "Like, a clean way to explore dark web content without actually being on the dark web. Filters out the illegal stuff and only shows the spooky lore, ARGs, hidden pages, like an adventure app. That sounds like the intro to every documentary about missing people." He elbowed me. "Come on. It's probably just edgy marketing." "Probably," I echoed, because the logo alone felt wrong. Too plain. Too deliberate. Liam tapped the icon. "Apparently it's new. No ads, no pop-ups, no subscription. Totally free." "Yeah, that's not suspicious at all," I muttered. "Who made it?" He opened the app's info page. Or tried to. There wasn't much to see. No developer profile. No update log. No terms of service. Just a single line at the bottom. Version 0.0.0. Access at your own discretion. "That's nothing," I said. "Dude, even malware has version history." Liam shrugged. "It's probably just some hobbyist project. Besides, everyone online is raving about it." Says it feels real. Like the dark web without the risk. That sentence alone is a red flag. He laughed. You worry too much. And you don't worry enough. Exactly why this works, he said, winking. Come on. It'll be fun. Let's make a bet. If this turns out to be legit, you buy pizza. Fine, I said. But if it bricks your phone, I'm not helping you fix it. He was already hovering his thumb over the install button. That stupid, excited grin spread across his face. The same one he had whenever he convinced himself he was about to be the main character in some epic internet quest. Ready? He asked. I wasn't. Not even close. But I nodded anyway. All right then, he said, and tapped install. Looking back now, I should have stopped him the moment he clicked it. The first time Liam opened the app, I expected it to crash instantly or bombard him with scam ads. Instead, it started up smoother than anything I'd ever seen. No loading spinner, no permissions request, nothing. Just a soft chime and a screen that faded from black into an interface, so clean it almost looked sterile. Damn, Liam whispered. This is actually kinda sick. I leaned over his shoulder. Why is it already connected? Did you turn on your VPN? Nope, he said. Didn't touch anything. I frowned. What about Tor? Or that proxy thing you installed last month? He shook his head. It bypassed all of it. Look, none of my apps are running. No notifications. He was right. Everything was off. VPN disconnected, Tor disabled. And somehow the app was still navigating what looked very, very close to real dark web content. Fast, too. Faster than the regular internet, which shouldn't have been possible. It's scraping from somewhere, I muttered. There has to be a server. But the app didn't indicate any server, or engine, or database. It simply opened the portal page. That was the name, Portal, and under it were categories. Marketplaces, private threads, lookup, live rooms, restricted. The last one didn't have an icon, just a blank red square. Liam clicked on marketplaces first. A flicker, then rows of listings appeared. They looked too real, not like stylized ARG props. These had timestamps, seller reputations, item conditions. The kind of things no one should be browsing without a dozen layers of protection and plausible deniability. Okay, I said quietly. This is actually illegal. You need to close this. Now. Relax, he said. It's probably fake. But the way the interface predicted his taps, how the cursor slid toward whatever section he looked at before he even touched the screen, made my skin crawl. Next, he opened a private thread. The first thing I saw was a conversation between 4 users. Or, it had been 4. By the time the page loaded, 2 usernames winked out. Literally disappeared mid-sentence. Their messages collapsed, vanishing line by line until the thread rearranged itself like nothing had ever been there. What the hell? Liam muttered. Glitch, I offered. Or live moderation, he said. Like someone's deleting them in real time. But something about the timing felt intentional. Like the app didn't want us seeing those messages. Then the lookup tab, basically a search bar, auto-filled with terms before Liam even typed. Things he would be curious about. Urban legends. Conspiracy forums. Abandoned websites from the early 2000s. It was learning him. He swore he hadn't touched the keyboard. Dude, this thing's creepy, he said, laughing it off but not sounding totally convinced anymore. You think? I shot back. But what really bothered me wasn't any of that. It was the live rooms. The icon was a small camera lens cracked down the middle. When Liam tapped it, the screen didn't load. Instead, a message popped up. Access restricted, permission required. Below that was a single button. Request permission. Liam hovered his thumb over it. No, I said immediately. Absolutely not. Oh, come on, he groaned. It's just a locked feature. Exactly. Why does a safe dark web browser need permissions? Who's granting them? Who's watching? He sighed, pulled his thumb back. Fine, fine. He backed out to the main menu again. And that was when I saw it. Another tab I hadn't noticed before. The one labeled restricted. The one marked with the red square. I don't like talking about that page. Even now, I can feel my stomach twist when I think about what was inside it. What we saw? What we shouldn't have seen. But we'll get there. Just not yet. Because the part where everything truly started spiraling out of control wasn't the restricted tab. It was the first message Liam received through the app. A message that shouldn't have been possible. A message from someone or something inside the system. And that was the night everything went wrong. The first warning didn't come from anything we clicked. It came from the app itself. We were back on the home screen, arguing about whether the whole thing was some elaborate ARG, when Liam's phone vibrated. A single notification slid across the top of the screen. No sound, no icon, just text. Stop looking. We see you. Liam froze. Okay, that's actually kind of funny. Funny, I said. That's not from any app. That's not from anything. He tapped it, and it dragged us back inside the portal interface. No message logged, no sender, just a blank white box fading away like it had never existed. Probably just part of the experience, he said, feigning a shrug but failing to hide the tension in his jaw. Like an immersion thing. Immersion doesn't activate your camera, I snapped. What? I pointed at the little green dot glowing at the top of his screen. The webcam was on. He hadn't opened anything that would require video. And before he could react, my phone lit up too. Front camera. Active. Recording nothing but my confused face and the dim light of our apartment. I covered the lens with my hand. Liam did the same. For a few seconds the room was silent except for our breathing. Then both cameras shut off at the exact same moment. Dude, he whispered. Okay, that's weird. Weird. Liam, someone is watching us. He licked his lips, nervous but trying to hold on to his bravado. All right. Let's just check the settings. Maybe it's... But before he finished, a new tab appeared at the bottom of the screen. Not part of the original layout. Requests. Liam frowned. This wasn't here before. Then don't open it, I said instinctively. He opened it anyway. The screen loaded slower than usual, like whatever was behind it didn't want to be seen all at once. And when it finally appeared, I felt my stomach twist. It was a list. Names. Hundreds of them. Below each name was an address. Below each address was a timestamp. Not for the past, but for the future. What the hell? I breathed. Liam laughed nervously. It's like, I don't know, a delivery schedule? Some kind of roleplay thing. Roleplay doesn't use real addresses, I hissed. These are real. Look at the formatting. Look at the detail. He scrolled. The farther down we went, the worse it felt. My skin prickled. Every instinct screamed that we weren't supposed to see this. Then the list ended. Or almost ended. There were 5 blank lines after the last entry. Empty placeholders waiting for names, addresses, times. You'll understand why those names mattered later. I murmured, my voice cracking without my permission. Especially the last one. Liam didn't hear me. He was already backing out of the menu. Curiosity overriding every alarm bell echoing through my head. This is getting kinda wild, he said. Let's check the live stream. Maybe it explains some of this. No, I said immediately. Liam, don't. But he was already tapping the icon. And then Liam clicked the live stream. The live stream didn't buffer, didn't load, didn't even flicker. It just appeared, like it had been waiting for us. A dim corridor filled the screen. No sound, no text overlay, no chat. Just a single perspective from what looked like a handheld camera pointed down a long, narrow hallway. The kind you'd see in abandoned buildings, except this one wasn't abandoned. The walls were too clean, too familiar. At first I thought it was a pre-recorded video. Some creepy stock footage, maybe part of the app's experience. But then the camera shifted. Slowly, purposefully. It angled itself upward toward a flickering light bulb, one I recognized immediately. That looks like, I started. Hold up, Liam whispered, leaning closer. Is this live? It looks live. There was no latency. None. Every tiny movement on screen happened with zero delay, like the stream was happening inside the phone rather than being transmitted to it. The camera lens rotated, drifting down the hallway, gliding smoothly like it wasn't held by a person at all. My skin crawled. This isn't a video, I said under my breath. Someone is walking. Right now. The camera reached an intersection and paused. The screen dipped slightly, as though the person, or thing, behind the lens was breathing. And then it turned left. As it swung around the corner, a poster flashed into frame. A bright, stupid motivational poster with a cartoon sun that smiled over the words, "Your day starts with you." A poster we'd mocked every morning on our way up the stairs. Dude, I croaked. That's in our building. Liam froze. No, he said. No way. He zoomed in. The pixel quality didn't degrade at all. Another impossible detail. Even zoomed in, the poster looked crisp. Real. And then something moved. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, some shadow cast by the flickering bulb. But it darted too quickly. A shape, human-sized but not quite human-shaped, pulled itself back behind a doorframe at the end of the hall. What the hell was that? Liam whispered. The camera reacted instantly. It tilted, focusing on the doorway where the shape had been. Then it began moving again, silent, steady, hunting. My heart hammered in my chest. This camera is inside our building, I whispered. It's on our floor. Liam didn't answer. He was too focused on the screen, mesmerized. The camera approached the doorway slowly, as if savoring the tension, as if aware we were watching. Each step was accompanied by a faint, wet breathing sound, almost like the microphone was inside a throat rather than a room. The closer it got, the louder the sound became. I don't like this, I said. Turn it off. Wait, Liam breathed. Look. The camera crossed the threshold into the laundry room, the one right next to our apartment. My stomach dropped. The piles of clothes, the dented metal table, the broken clock above the washers. It was ours. Exactly ours. Except the lights were off in the live stream. Pitch black, except for the camera's faint night vision glow. This isn't possible, I muttered. Then, in the corner of the screen, a shape twitched. It wasn't a person. I know that now. But at the time, my brain tried to interpret it as human. A limb, a head, something crouched low, clutching the floor like it was bracing to leap. The camera began to angle downward toward it. And that was the moment I realized what it was looking for. Us. It wasn't hunting some random tenant. It wasn't exploring. It had navigated the hallways with purpose, tracking something it already knew, something it had marked. My throat tightened. My hands went numb. I almost grabbed Liam's phone and smashed it. I almost dragged him out of the apartment and down the stairs without looking back. The moment that thought hit me, I almost grabbed Liam and ran. But Liam didn't run. He didn't scream, or react, or even breathe for a second. Instead, he tapped the screen. A tiny chat icon appeared at the bottom, one we hadn't seen until now. He typed a message into the stream chat. Liam leaned closer to the screen, grinning like this was all some late-night Reddit prank. I remember telling him not to type anything. I remember physically reaching for his wrist. And I remember, very clearly, how he shook me off without even looking away. Showman to the end. He cracked his knuckles, typed. Nice camera work. Who's filming? Then hit enter. The effect was instant. The camera in the hallway, our hallway, froze mid-pan, as though whatever held it had suddenly become aware of being watched. For 3 long seconds, it didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't blink. Then a message appeared at the bottom of the screen. No typing indicator, no username, no delay. Just 2 words. Permission granted. Liam laughed. I didn't. Because at the exact moment those words appeared, the feed jittered and snapped to a new angle, tilted slightly upward from floor level, aimed directly at the apartment door we were sitting behind. Our apartment door. And the camera wasn't alone. A shape stood just inside the frame, tall enough to scrape the ceiling, too still to be human. The hallway lighting flickered, as though struggling to illuminate it. For a moment, I saw nothing except a long silhouette, like someone had stretched a person until they were wrong in every direction. I stopped breathing. I think I forgot how. Beside me, Liam muttered, Okay, that's actually kind of sick. He thought it was Mason or Kyle or one of our other friends trying to mess with us. I knew better. I heard breathing before I realized it wasn't mine. A slow, hungry intake of air crackled through Liam's laptop speakers, except the lips making that sound had to be inches from the camera. The feed brightened, sharpening the image. It took everything in me not to grab Liam, scream, and run. But before I even had the chance, reality folded in on itself. Someone knocked on our door. Not a playful tap or a drunk friend stumbling by. A precise, deliberate knock. 3 times. Knock, knock, knock. Perfectly synchronized with the figure on the stream. Liam's smile finally cracked. Okay, that's actually impressive. They timed it, but I was staring at the door handle. It twitched. In the live stream, the handle twitched in the same rhythm. Liam, I whispered, don't go near it. He didn't listen. He never listened. He stood up, marched toward the door, and yelled, Very funny. Who is it? Another message materialized beneath the stream. We are here. Then the feed cut to black. A soft scraping sound came from the hallway outside, like fingernails dragging along wood. Liam took another step toward the door. I finally managed to grab his arm. Don't open it, I said. Please. He looked at me the way you look at someone who's being dramatic for no reason. He shook off my grip, walked to the door, and without hesitation, he unlocked it. That was the first night Liam disappeared, and it was the last night I ever trusted a screen. The moment Liam unlocked the door, I braced for something to burst inside. Some figure, something, some echo of whatever we had just seen on the stream. But the hallway was empty, completely empty. No stretched silhouette, no scraping sound, not even the usual humming from the elevator at the far end. Just stillness, heavy and stale, like the building itself was holding its breath. Liam stepped outside. Relax, he said, waving me off. Probably some jerk with a wireless camera and too much time. He walked a few paces down the hall, leaning over the railing to peer toward the stairwell. I kept begging him to come back inside, but he just kept going, around the corner where the lights flickered. I'll be right back, he called. He wasn't. 3 hours passed. 3 full hours where his phone went straight to voicemail, where the hallway stayed silent, and where the live stream on the laptop refused to reload. Its tab grayed out, as if the app had decided we'd had enough for the night. At some point I must have fallen asleep sitting against the door, because the next thing I remember is waking up to the handle turning from the outside. And it was just him, standing there like nothing had happened. He looked normal. Exhausted, but normal. Clothes unrumpled. No dirt. No sweat. Not a single sign he'd walked anywhere farther than the vending machine downstairs. Dude, he said, squeezing past me. Why'd you lock the door? I stared at him. Where were you? You were gone for hours. He blinked. No, I wasn't. I was gone for maybe 5 minutes. He even laughed, softly, like I was the one being ridiculous. For a second, he had me convinced. Gaslit without even trying. But then he sat on the couch, rubbed the bridge of his nose, and whispered, I remember something. Just one thing. I didn't breathe. He looked at me, eyes unfocused, and said, "The Red Room." And then he said another word, a name. A name I haven't told you yet. Because once I say it, you're part of this too. The requests updated at exactly 3:11 a.m. The same minute I jolted awake to the sound of Liam pacing in the kitchen. I remember the glow of his phone lighting half his face and the way he kept whispering, "No, no, no." This wasn't here before. I thought he was talking to someone, but he was just staring at the screen, frozen. I took the phone from him, expecting another glitchy list of random names and coordinates. But the entire interface had changed. It wasn't a spreadsheet anymore. It looked more like a directory, almost social media styled, except every icon was a face. Neighbors, people we passed in the hall, the guy who always took the elevator to the 5th floor, even though he lived on the 2nd. Then I scrolled down, and I swear my stomach turned solid. 2 new entries pulsed at the bottom, glowing with the same sickly red as the permission-granted text from the stream. Liam's photo, my photo, and under both of them, timestamps. Mine was set for the next day. His, only hours away. Liam didn't panic, not outwardly. He snatched the phone back, stared at his picture, and whispered, "So that's it. I've been chosen." I laughed because it sounded like something out of an ARG forum, but he wasn't joking. His eyes were wide, glassy, like someone seeing a pattern in chaos. "It's a game," he said, "or a trial. They only add you when you're ready to move up." He spent the whole morning digging through boards, conspiracy threads, archived screenshots, anything that could validate what he already believed. And disturbingly, there were hints. Mentions of a tiered network, of users vanishing after completing unknown tasks, of a cult-like hierarchy built on anonymity and obedience. Every breadcrumb made him more obsessed. He kept saying, "If I complete one request, just one, it'll unlock the Red Room. That's where the truth is." I asked what the truth meant, and he said it like it was obvious. "Whatever's running this. Whoever's watching us." And then he looked at me with this feverish certainty. "If they put us on the list, we can't refuse. It's an initiation." I tried to pull him back to reality, but something in him had already shifted. Paranoia gnawed at him. He triple-locked the windows. He unplugged the router. He kept checking the hallway peephole like he expected someone to be standing there, breathing against the steel. The worst part? He wasn't scared of being targeted. He was scared of missing his timestamp. "If I mess this up," he muttered, "they'll replace me. They'll pick someone else." And the way he said someone else made my skin crawl, because his eyes flicked toward me. That evening, he put on his jacket with this eerie calm, like a man preparing for a ritual. He didn't say where he was going. He only whispered, "It's starting." And when Liam left that final night, I followed him. I didn't even have a plan. I just knew that letting him walk into whatever twisted scavenger hunt the app had assigned him would mean losing him for good. So I stayed far enough back to avoid being noticed, keeping to the shadows of the stairwell, listening as his footsteps echoed downward with unnatural precision, like he already knew exactly where to go. With every floor we descended, the air grew colder, heavier, as if the building itself disapproved. And somewhere between the 3rd and 2nd floor, I realized something awful. Liam wasn't checking his phone for directions. He was following a voice I couldn't hear. Not then, anyway. I should have turned back the moment Liam slipped out the side door of our building. But fear has a way of dragging you forward, like a hook buried in your spine. He moved with purpose, drifting through alleyways and side streets like he'd walked this path 1,000 times. I kept several steps behind, hugging walls, pretending I knew what I'd do if he caught me. I didn't. I just knew something was pulling him somewhere. And that same something was pulling me, too. He cut through an alley I'd never noticed, a narrow crack between 2 apartment blocks where the city's hum died into a stagnant silence. At the end was a rusted basement door, the kind maintenance crews probably forgot existed. Liam didn't hesitate. He slipped inside. I hesitated for exactly 1 second before following him into the dark. The air inside was cold and metallic, humming with distant machinery. Rows of old storage rooms stretched beneath the building, each one hollowed out and abandoned. Liam walked as though led by invisible instructions, turning corners with mechanical certainty. I stayed far enough behind that the echo of his footsteps masked mine. The deeper we went, the more the concrete walls glowed faintly red, as though illuminated from beneath the surface. Eventually, the hallway opened into a massive underground chamber that should not have existed. It was like someone had built a data center beneath our neighborhood and then buried the blueprints. The room pulsed with red light, the same sickening hue from the app's permission-granted screen. Server racks lined the walls, each one stacked with blinking drives. But the screens were what froze me in place. Dozens of them, massive, curved displays, hung from the ceiling like suspended monoliths. Each one showed a different live stream: bedrooms, kitchens, living rooms, street corners. Hundreds of locations, hundreds of unsuspecting people being watched in real time. No timestamps, no usernames, just constant surveillance. Liam stepped into the center of the room as though he'd been summoned. Figures emerged from behind the server racks, tall silhouettes wearing blank, featureless masks. They surrounded him not with aggression, but with something worse: expectation. One of the screens flickered, and the app interface appeared, scaled up to fill an entire wall. Our requests list. Liam's photo pulsing at the top. A mechanical voice, genderless and layered, echoed through the chamber. "Welcome back, Liam." He didn't flinch. He didn't even pretend to be surprised. He bowed his head slightly, like a student acknowledging a teacher. I realized with a cold, sinking dread that this wasn't new to him. This wasn't random. Liam had been chosen long before he ever downloaded the app. The masked figures parted, revealing a circular platform lit with red LEDs. Liam stepped onto it without hesitation. A scanner descended from above, bathing him in light. The screens shifted, now showing his apartment door, the same one from the live stream. A perfect match. I crouched behind a stack of equipment, heart punching against my ribs. I couldn't breathe, not with the hum of the servers vibrating through my teeth, not with the weight of every screen showing every person who didn't know they were being watched. One feed caught my eye, a woman brushing her teeth. Another, a kid hunched over a gaming console. A third, an elderly man sleeping in a recliner. None of them had any idea. The app didn't just access cameras. It owned them. The voice spoke again. Initiation acknowledged. Step forward. Liam obeyed, and the masked figures moved in closer, forming a ring around him. One held a device, something like a tablet, but thicker, wired into the servers. The screen displayed a new tab I'd never seen before. Red Room Access, pending. A symbol pulsed beneath it. An eye, stylized and sharp, identical to the faint watermark I'd seen in the corner of the live stream. Then the ritual began. It wasn't chanting. It wasn't theatrical. It was worse, clinical. Each masked figure tapped their device in synchronized intervals. The screens reacted instantly, cycling through camera feeds faster than my eyes could follow. Every feed seemed to watch Liam. Or maybe the app itself was watching him through all of them at once. He lifted his hands like he was offering himself. "I'm ready," he whispered. And the moment he said it, the temperature in the room plummeted. One screen zoomed in on his face, another on his apartment door, another on our hallway, another on the storage room above us, which meant I knew exactly what would happen next. You won't believe what I saw next. No matter how I try to explain it, you'll think I'm exaggerating or hallucinating or making it up. but as every feed locked onto him, as the red room symbol expanded across the displays, as the masked figures leaned in, someone grabbed me from behind. The hand that grabbed me was ice cold, but the grip was impossibly strong, like a hydraulic clamp closing around my shoulder. I was yanked backwards so hard my vision rattled. Before I could shout Liam's name, a masked figure dragged me into a narrow corridor branching off the main chamber. The hallway was lined with darkened screens, each one flickering just enough to cast warped shadows. The figure shoved me against the wall, pinning me in place with one hand while the other adjusted something on the side of its mask. A soft click sounded, and then a voice, flat, filtered, but unmistakably human, spoke directly into my face. "He downloaded it. You didn't." The figure tilted its head, studying me like I was a puzzle it already knew the solution to. "He belongs." The words hit harder than the grip on my shoulder. I tried to pull free, but the figure pushed me harder into the concrete until pain radiated down my spine. Another figure stepped forward, and for a moment I thought they were going to blindfold me or restrain me. But instead, they simply made me look. They turned my head toward the opening of the chamber, toward Liam. He stood on the platform, bathed in the red glow of the screens, calm, serene even, like he'd finally found the missing piece of himself. The masked figures surrounding him parted slightly as he took a step forward. Not toward me, toward them. His eyes met mine for one fleeting second, and he looked away, not with fear, not with shame, but with certainty. "I told you not to follow me," he said quietly. His voice echoed across the chamber, carried by the speakers embedded in the walls. "You shouldn't have come." "Liam, listen to me," I choked out. "This isn't you. This is the app. It's doing something to you." He shook his head. "No, this is where I'm supposed to be." My stomach twisted. What does that even mean? He didn't answer. He just stepped closer to the masked figures, shoulders squared like he was choosing them over me, over everything we'd been through. One of the masked figures leaned toward him, whispering something I couldn't hear. Liam listened. Then he whispered something back, directly into their ear. The figure holding me released just enough pressure for me to breathe, but not escape. Liam looked at me again. His face softened for half a second. "Don't come looking for me," he said. "Not after tonight." The figure beside him tapped a device. Something in the room hummed, louder than before. Lights flickered. Screens stuttered. A low siren warbled through the chamber. A system malfunction. Chaos erupted instantly. Masked figures moved to the terminals, tapping frantically. The red lighting surged into strobes. One of the server racks sparked. Another screen glitched, displaying a split-second feed of something faceless staring back. The figure restraining me tensed, just for a moment. But that moment was enough. I drove my elbow into its side, tore free, and stumbled down the corridor. The alarms deepened, rumbling through the floor like the entire underground complex was waking up. I heard voices shouting behind me, too many to count. The path I'd memorized on the way down blurred, but adrenaline dragged me through it. Up the stairs, down the hall, through the rusted door, into the cold night air. I didn't stop running until my lungs begged for mercy. But the worst part wasn't the chase, wasn't the alarms, wasn't the sight of Liam choosing them. The worst part was what I found when I got home. When I finally staggered through my apartment door, every muscle shaking, I slammed it shut behind me and locked every deadbolt I had. My lungs still burned from running, and my hands were trembling so badly I could barely hold my phone to call for help. But I didn't get the chance, because the moment the screen lit up, my stomach dropped straight through the floor. The safe dark web browser was on my home screen, installed, pinned, waiting. I hadn't downloaded it. I knew that. I never would have downloaded it. Yet the icon sat there like it had always belonged, like it had simply been waiting for me to finally notice it. For a long moment, I just stared at it, praying it was a hallucination, a stress-induced trick of the mind. But the longer I looked, the more wrong it felt. The icon seemed to pulse, like it was breathing, like it knew I was staring back. My thumb moved on its own, not to open it, just hovering, as if the thing was drawing me closer. And then, without me touching a thing, the app opened. Cold white text filled the black screen. Requests updated. My breath hitched. The page loaded slowly this time, as if savoring the moment, as if it wanted me to feel each second stretch. When the list finally appeared, there were no strangers' faces, no neighbors, no timestamps, just one image. Mine. A live photo, taken without my camera ever clicking. I recognized the angle. It was from inside my apartment, inside the living room, a place I hadn't been since I left. Below it, time now? My pulse froze. I swallowed hard, forcing myself to stay calm, to think, to breathe. But then, a knock. Soft, slow, measured, like someone tapping just enough to let me know they were patient, that they weren't going anywhere, that the request had already begun. I backed toward the bedroom, tightening my grip on the phone, my heart thundering so loudly it drowned out everything else. Another knock, then another, each one a little harder, a little closer. On the app, a final line appeared at the bottom of the screen. Permission pending. I don't know if posting this will help. I don't know if anyone can actually stop what's already happening. But if you're reading this, if I stop posting after tonight, you'll know why. If you've stayed with me this far, thank you. I don't know how much time I have left before whoever or whatever is behind that app makes their next move. But I need you to understand something. This isn't the end of the story. Not even close. I've been going through the footage on my phone, the auto-saved files, the corrupted screenshots I didn't remember taking. Some of you are better at decoding this stuff than I am. Some of you notice patterns I miss. So if anything I've said tonight sounds familiar, if any of you have seen an app like this, any icon, any program, any strange permissions, tell me in the comments. Even if you think it's nothing. Because every time I try to delete this thing, it comes back. And every time it comes back, it shows me something new. I know some of you out there have connections. Some of you poke around places online normal people don't. If this video gets enough attention, maybe someone who actually knows about these groups will see it. Maybe someone can help me track where they took Liam. Help me figure out what they're planning or why any of us were ever chosen. And if you spotted something in the background, an image, a glitch, a symbol, anything I might have missed, write it down. Timestamp it. Share it. I'm saving every theory, every clue, every single thing you send might matter later. There's no way that Red Room was the only one. There's no way their network stops here. Listen, some of you have been following my posts for a while. Some of you remember the other weird things I talked about before Liam ever downloaded that app. I didn't think any of it was connected. I thought they were just isolated stories. Now I'm not so sure. Because in the last hour alone, 3 different people messaged me saying they've seen versions of the same icon I described. Some didn't download it in time. Some say it disappeared before they could. One person claimed it installed itself, just like mine did. So if you're watching this on your phone, check your home screen. Check your notification history. Check anything that shouldn't be there. And if this video suddenly goes dark, if the channel stops updating, just assume the worst. Hold on. Oh God, the stream just started again.